Hello, my name is Edvina Husejinovic. I am from St. Louis, Missouri. My professional journey has led me through various fields. I have some experience working in a long-term care facility, automotive, customer development, as a phlebotomist, and most recently, the mortgage industry. With these roles, I've gained numerous skills that form who I am today. These skills are attention to detail, time management, organization, flexibility, teamwork, and continually learning and improving on myself. During my recent career break, I dedicated myself to self-improvement and acquiring new skills. This is where Savvy Coders comes in. A friend of mine and a former Savvy Coders graduate recommended I apply for the boot camp, and upon the first conversation with Savvy Coders, I knew that this was the right fit for me. I decided to get into coding because I like that it combined my creativity with my problem solving mindset. Now that I have completed the cohort, let me tell you what I have been working on. For my capstone project, I decided to create a web application that would be geared towards fostering communication and progress tracking in the child education fields. I want to connect parents, teachers, and students for the purpose of establishing strong communication channels, but also be able to track progress. While exploring through some educational platforms, I found myself overwhelmed with information and design of these applications, which is what led me to want to create a more user-friendly and simple application that was easy to navigate. While I was creating my project, I worked on an agile team and used a Jira board to stay organized on my capstone and as well as the class curriculum. I participated in daily stand-ups to discuss and share updates and any blockers we were having on our team. And at the beginning of each sprint, we held sprint planning meetings to discuss what needs to be done within that sprint. And at the end of each sprint, we held sprint reviews to backlog any items, ensure work, as well as sprint retrospectives to go over what went well and what we could improve on. For the second 6 weeks of the cohort, I contributed as a product owner for my team. I was accountable for communicating the product goal, managing the product backlog, and collaborating with my team to define our goal. My application is coded with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and I have learned how to use the terminal, use JavaScript to modify and update the web pages, and manage code with Git and GitHub. I've also learned how to utilize VS Code, Insomnia, Netlify, MongoDB, Render, Node, and Jira. When I first began my project, I first needed to decide what application I wanted to build and who my target audience was going to be. So to help me do that, I used the mural map. This helped me to determine the audience and what I wanted the application to be, as well as the name and some of the page content. Once I was done with the mural map, I then had to do some wireframes for the look and feel of my pages. And at first, I struggled with deciding the look and feel I wanted, and so my wireframes are a little bit different from my end product, but it was just to get a rough idea of how I wanted the pages to look and have a guide. So this was for my homepage, how I thought I wanted it to look at the beginning. And this is for the rest of the pages that I thought I was going to have. Then I had to do a flow chart to map out how the application would work and flow from page to page. As well as I did a SWOT analysis, which was to show the strengths, which I thought I would make very simple, weaknesses, which may not flow, which I thought my application may not flow, as well as some of the more complex applications. An opportunity for I foresaw was some possibility for collaboration, and a threat to my application was the already existing platforms. I also knew that I wanted to use some images, and these are just a few that I have taken and implemented into my project. And now let me show you what I have created. This is my project. I called it On Track, and this is my homepage. Here is where I've included my weather API as my third-party API and played around with adding a date, time, wind speed, humidity, and atmospheric pressure. But what I really wanted to do with this API was play around in my CS style to make some animation. And that would be here where in my weather container, where I've added the animation of floating. And I implemented that to the key frames. This is what makes it possible to move upwards from its original position. Then on the homepage, once you click on the Join Today button, that will take you to the Join page where you have few options of parent, teacher, student, or administration. Here, if you click on the parent page, that will take you to the parent page and give you two options. You have an add child and a send message button that have hidden form elements. So once you click on them, you'll get the form. The add child form is where I built my own API. A user can fill this form out and then submit it. All of the data from this form is residing on MongoDB, and then the data is populated onto the child page. Let me show you that here. And once you hit submit, it will add that information on the child page. So here is where I wanted to wrap each submission from this form, the new child edition, into its own box container. I also did that using CSS styling. I wanted to display like this so that in the future I can add more functionality to each child's profile, and it's easier to see each individual edition. To make this form function in my index.js file, I had to make a request to the API. Here I am using the Axios library to make a .post request to this URL. After the .post request is made, then the .then method is used to handle the response. And inside this .then method callback function, the code pushes the data received from the server onto the children's attribute of the child store, which then displays it on my child page. Now, if I go back to my parent page, I also have a contact form in my send message tab. This is a form that is connected to FormSpree. So if a user submits information here, then I will receive that email. And this is possible through my parent.js file. This action here is where the contact me form is linked with FormSpree. And so this is different from the child form, which is connected to MongoDB. Let me show you here that do get it email. This will send that email directly to me. What I really enjoyed was building my files for my project. So the components file of my webpage that I created here is what has my within the components is what I have constants that have the same structure. So that would be my footer, my header, my main, and my navigation. Then within the components, I have a views file that has all the views that appear on my site. So my about, child, home, parent, resources, etc. So to get access to all these module features, I had to export them with the export statement. And here in the main.js file is also where I imported all the views from the views file. So all these modules are gathered inside of the index.js of each retrospective folder with the export statement. So the views have an index.js file, as well as the components have their own index.js file, as well as the store. I also have an assets folder, which holds all of my images that I've implemented on my page. One obstacle that I had during my project was implementing my API. I struggled to get my API to communicate to my form because I did add hidden buttons. So I couldn't at first get it to communicate to my API with the form. But once I figured out where to add my query selector and my event listeners, then the form worked perfectly. And now, if I go back to my web application, I do have a few more pages. I have an About Me page that has kind of a mission and an explanation of what this page is about, and a resource page that provides a few different resources if you wanted to go and have some courses or some fun little games to play for further child education. So if you in the future, I do plan on working on implementing logins for my webpage, as well as creating uh, the teacher student administration functions for my web application. If you like my presentation, I can be contacted via LinkedIn. I do have it linked down here on the bottom of my page, as well as you can find me on GitHub under my name. Thank you so much for watching my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it.